What's going on, boys? I apologize for hopping on late. Let me just get everything situated here. I was kind of just running a little bit late here, kind of running last second. Let me just fix everything. 1 second, fellas. I apologize. Welcome, everybody. I want to make sure everything's working. Let's see.
I can't quit staring at Connor's dick. I can't stop. I can't quit staring at Connor's dick. I can't
stop. Okay. All right. I apologize. Set that timer or that goal, and let's do this quickly. I think everything is set up properly. I was just trying to add some different things to my channel, and it was kind of just a little bit difficult to figure everything out, so I apologize. But welcome back to the stream, boys. This is our daily stream during the week where we stream every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, weekdays. And on weekends, we stream at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as well on Sundays. But also a quick note for tomorrow, it is UFC Abu Dhabi, of course. It's an earlier card. It's going to start at 12. The prelims are going to start at 12. So we're going to be doing a watch along tomorrow. So be sure to be there if you guys want to watch along with the boys, and it'll be at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. But anyways, before any further ado, I know I've been wasting a little bit of time, but we had some news for sure. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is there were some rumors, and I believe this is confirmed, or it will be confirmed, or whatever, but there definitely were some talks of Umar Nurmagomedov and Bautista going up against each other. So that's an interesting matchup. I think everybody thought after Umar lost his fight against Merab, they were going to do Umar versus Peter Yan, but Peter Yan already got an opponent. So I guess Umar was kind of left out, and there were some questions on who he was going to fight, but they decided to, I don't know if it's official yet, but I think it's close to being official or whatever. So I think it's probably going to be Mario Bautista versus Umar. And also I heard some rumors of that what's it called? That it's going to be a 5-round main event. So we'll see how that one pairs out. What's going on, boys? Welcome to the stream. I hear about Umar versus Mario Bautista. I did, yeah. That's an interesting one. I heard it's going to be a 5-round main event somewhere, so I'm assuming it's some fight night. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in that. John, what's up, brother? Welcome to the stream. Do you see any underdogs winning tomorrow? Let's see. Let's do some FanDuel action quickly before anything else. So I'll do a little sharing of the screen here. So these are the plays I like. I like Bryce. He's a favorite though. I like Ochoa. He's an underdog, so I think he has a good chance to win. Could be off though. And then the last guy is RDR, another underdog. So those are kind of the underdogs, I guess, that I like for this upcoming weekend. Out of the other fighters, I mean, I guess there's a possibility that some of these guys could win. I just think most of these other fights are priced right, or accurately, I should say. So yeah, not too many underdogs that I think have a real chance of winning this weekend, but those are a couple of them. But we'll do a little bit more of an in-depth breakdown a little bit later, or giving some picks, free picks a little bit later. I'm so excited to see Bautista lose boring split decision. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that turned out to be some sort of a split decision. Either way. Here we go. What's up? What's going on? Welcome to the stream. Why is RDR the underdog? I don't know. I mean, I think on paper, Whitaker is probably the better fighter, at least technically. He's more technically for sure in the striking, and in the grappling, he's just a really difficult guy to take down. And for RDR to win the fight, he probably needs a takedown, I would assume. So that's probably why he's the underdog. But in my opinion, I'm personally going with RDR. Obviously, I made a video that came out the other day about it. I do think RDR is going to win the fight in the end. Yeah, he's not as technical, but he's just so much bigger than Whitaker, and he's so much more physical than Whitaker is. And as I said before, I just think there needs to be one sort of awkward sequence for RDR to win the fight. For Whitaker to win, he has to be perfect for 5 rounds, which, yes, he is capable of doing. But for RDR, I just think it's such an easier path to victory for him. He just needs to land one big shot on the feet and hurt Whitaker, or find some sort of weird takedown. And if the fight does go to the ground, I really do think RDR has such a big advantage there. And I think he'll be able to find a submission or ground and pound shots or whatever. As good as Whitaker has been over the years, as he definitely has been amazing, a former champion, he definitely isn't the most durable guy. And when you look at RDR, actually their face-off just happened yesterday, or was it today, I guess? For their face-off, the size difference is very apparent, alongside with the fact that Whitaker doesn't have a great chin. So I do think physicality is going to be a huge factor in this fight, and I think based on that, I think Whitaker is going to be able to pull off the W. But we'll see. Obviously, on paper, I know Whitaker is more skilled, and I know a lot of people are going with Robert Whitaker. I saw something online that I think was accurate. They were saying RDR is either going to look plus 1,000 or minus 1,000, which I think is probably accurate. But we'll see how he looks. I personally think he's going to win. I think he's going to find some sort of weird opening or weird shot that he lands, or weird sequence where he finds a takedown. And then from there, I think he can find a finish. Because when you look at the other guy that went up against Whitaker, who had an awkward style in DDP, not only was he able to win, but he was able to find a takedown. And I think RDR is probably even better at shooting for takedowns and finding weird opportunities to find takedowns. And also, of course, DDP was able to finish Whitaker and land big shots. I'm not saying RDR is as good as Whitaker, or RDR is as good as DDP, or DDP is as good as RDR. They're obviously different fighters, but they do have a similarity in terms of their physicality alongside with their awkwardness. But we'll see. I have a feeling RDR is going to finish Whitaker. I called it turn DDP on the 75. Yeah, I personally agree. I think RDR is going to find a finish. I just think he's too big for Whitaker, and as I said, he's just too physical for most guys at that weight class, but especially Whitaker. I mean, let's see if I can pull up the face-off. Let's see. All right, this is a horrible picture. Can I get a good one? Here we go. So yeah, this is the face-off between them two. Like, RDR is significantly bigger. It looks like he's in another weight class. Obviously, he's a lot taller, but even, I guess you can't really tell from this pic, but he also does seem wider than Whitaker is. His reach is obviously going to be significantly longer than Whitaker's is. Oh wait, can you not see it on the screen? That's weird. Oh, dude, that's so weird. All right, I apologize. I was moving quickly. You couldn't even see that. What did I want to do? No. Window. There we go. All right. I apologize. You can see it now, I'm assuming. Sorry, I was scrambling to get on stream. I forgot to do that. So this is the face-off. So obviously, RDR is significantly taller than Whitaker is. He's also wider, and he has a longer reach and everything. So it kind of does feel like they're in separate weight classes. So I don't know. I just think that's going to be a big advantage for RDR. And even if you look back at this one, the DDP versus Whitaker, DDP was definitely bigger, but the size difference I think is even more pronounced for RDR versus Whitaker than it was for DDP versus Whitaker. So I do think he's going to have a pretty big advantage in this fight, in my opinion. But yeah. What else? So I guess you guys didn't see the FanDuel screen. I apologize for that. So just to reiterate for John, some of the underdogs that I like for this upcoming weekend. I know I already said it, but I'll just do it again. So underdogs that I like for this weekend, it's really only two. Choa, I kind of like the value here at very small plus money, only plus 100, but I kind of like the value there. I think he's a good fighter. Almabaev's a good fighter as well, but I think Ochoa is a little bit more dangerous. So we'll see. And then also, obviously, the main event they were just talking about, plus 124 for RDR. Those are the couple underdogs I like for this weekend. Not too many, but the two that I gave out, I think they have a good chance of winning. You got one ball Bryce or the Russian. I have Bryce. I think Bryce is going to win. That's a good pull, by the way. One ball Bryce or Bryce. I have Bryce. I think Nurmagomedov is really explosive. He has good kicks on the feet, and it's definitely something to worry about or think about for Bryce. But at the end of the day, I think the way to beat Nurmagomedov is kind of out there. You just pressure him, and if you're able to survive round one or the first half of round one, he's really going to start to gas. We've seen that in a lot of his fights. And against Bryce, I think he's going to pressure, put Nurmagomedov alongside the cage, find takedowns or shooting for takedowns, and I think eventually he'll find takedowns. And on the ground, I think Bryce can do a good job at landing ground and pound strikes and maybe look for submission. But most importantly, what he would be doing by finding the takedowns is just starting to tire out Nurmagomedov, which obviously, as I said, Nurmagomedov has shown an ability to tire out a lot in some of his fights that we've seen him in. So for Nurmagomedov, I feel like his best bet is either some sort of ninja choke alongside the cage. He has a really good ninja choke, but I think Bryce will be able to avoid those. So really the best way or the easiest way that Nurmagomedov, or most likely way I should say, that Nurmagomedov would win is some sort of high kick or something in the first round. But if Bryce can make it out of the first, which I think he could, I think he'll win the fight. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. The odds on the Bryce Mitchell fight have widened out a little bit. Earlier on in the week, Bryce is a minus 115, I believe. At this point, he's minus 138. But even at minus 138, I don't mind the value. It's getting a little bit high for Bryce, but I don't mind the value. For Bryce, I've talked about this before. I thought at 145, he just wasn't nearly physical enough. There was too many guys. I know these are examples of insanely good fighters, but I thought there was a couple of examples against Gene and against Topuria where obviously Gene and Topuria are some of the best fighters at 145, and Topuria is already a champion. I believe Gene will become a champion, but either way, I just felt like the physicality difference between Bryce and those two guys were so significant that it almost felt like they weren't meant to be in the same weight class. So I think for Bryce, he's not the smallest 145 ever, but he just wasn't that physical, I thought, for that division. So him moving down to 135 to bantamweight, I think will be a good move for him. And yes, whenever guys move down, you need to worry about the chin, cardio, and will they be too slow for their opponents? But for Bryce, I think he'll be fine. Some of the guys at 135 are going to be faster than Bryce, but there was guys at 145 that were faster than him as well. And that's not really Bryce's game. His game is mostly, looking for takedowns, finding takedowns, holding his opponents down, maybe landing some ground and pound shots, maybe finding a submission. He does have good jiu-jitsu. But, those aspects of his game, I don't think are really going to be affected by the speed of guys at 135. So we'll see how Bryce does. There's always questions, as I said, but I do believe that he will eventually find a victory, whether it's by decision or submission. Most likely it'll be by decision, but I think Bryce will win the fight. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for this card. For those of you who weren't in the live stream before, we are doing a watch along tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time for the entire card. I know last week we did a watch along only for the prelims, but for this card we'll do it for the entire card. So be sure to be there if you guys are interested in that. I wanted to press going through 35 win streak and spin becoming the bantamweight goat simply because that's hilarious. That would be pretty funny. Imagine. I mean, he had some success at 145. He just ran into a couple guys that were happened to be some of the best guys in the division in Gene and Topuria. And yeah, I mean, there's some other guys that give him issues as well. But Bryce definitely did have some success at that weight class. So we'll see how he does at 135. But I personally don't see him beating a lot of guys, especially in the upper rankings of 135. But we'll see how he does. That would be pretty funny, though, if he just goes on a ridiculously long win streak and then beats him around. I want him to get 200 fight bonus simply because that's his favorite number. That'd be funny. That'd be funny. They just gave Bryce a ridiculously large fight bonus. For no reason. I mean, he's probably not going to put on an exciting performance, so that'd be kind of funny. But But yeah, One Bald Bryce. That's a good nickname. That's a good pull as well. but yeah. And then also we have the Komen event and Peter Yan versus Marcus McGee. This is kind of a weird one to me. I really feel like Yan is gonna outclass McGee. It's kind of a weird fight. I had a video that came out about it today. But I guess it didn't get out like that much. I don't know. So I don't know if YouTube pushed it, so I'll just do a quick plug just in case you guys haven't seen it. So this is the new video I just posted today, Peter Yan. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check it out. It's more of an in-depth breakdown, but I personally think it's not going to be all that close. I think Jan's going to essentially dominate in this fight, but we'll see what happens. Kid, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Umar's going to show levels. I think fight both flipped. Yeah, I could see that. Listen, I do think I'm not a huge fan of Mario, but I do think he is like pretty good. Obviously, the Aldo fight, because of the Aldo fight, everyone kind of hates him. But I think in a couple of his fights, he has shown some pretty good skill for sure. So I think he's a good fighter. But at the same time, I do agree with you. I think Umar is the better fighter. Yeah, maybe we could see Umar winning rounds 3 through 5, a little bit of a reverse. I don't think Umar's cardio is bad per se. I just think when you're going up against Merab, you tend to gas out. The Weasel, credit to him, he pointed this out the other day, and I think it's very accurate. You can have as good as cardio as you want, but once you get to the third round against Merab, maybe even the end of the second, you really start to tire out, no matter how good your cardio is. Merab's cardio is just on another level. His pace and pressure are just on another level. And obviously we saw that with Umar. As in the third round, he started to gas. In the fourth round, he was really gassed. And in the fifth round as well, of course. But it's not just Umar. It's been a lot of guys. So I don't necessarily think Umar's cardio is that bad. And I could see him pushing a pace and winning rounds 3 through 5, as you said. But we'll see. I think overall Umar will win. But we'll see what happens. They said they'll give him 6 million tires. Man, unfortunate. All right, that was oh man, freaking Bryce. Interesting character to say the least, but we'll see how he does. I kind of do have high hopes for him, at least at the lower end of 135. Nurmagomedov is a guy I don't think is that good, and I think he's very easily exploitable based on the fact that he does gas out. Talking about Saeed Nurmagomedov, by the way, but because he does gas out, and also his offense is really just kicks. So if you're able to get on the inside, you can really neutralize his kicks. I talk about this a lot, but I'm really not a fan of a guy whose main striking ability is his kicking ability. Even if he's very dynamic, like a guy like Shara, he has very dynamic kicks. He can go to the legs, body, and head at will. And even in close, like he is very dynamic, but it's not really effective when you're in the phone booth against a guy. If a guy can really cut off the cage and pressure you alongside it and start to throw boxing combinations, a guy like Shara or even Saeed Nurmagomedov, like they're not really going to be able to throw kicks in those situations. So they're going to have to rely on their boxing. And I think other guys are just better boxers than those guys. So in my personal opinion, I don't really think that having the kicks as the basis of your striking is really all that effective once you get to the higher level of your individual division and certainly when you go up against a champion. So we'll see. I do think Bryce will be able to neutralize Nurmagomedov, and that style in general I don't think is great, but yeah. Yeah, I guess let's see. I personally don't see Bryce gassing against Merab, but from yeah. He does have a good gas thing. But yeah, let's I kind of jumped around a little bit, but let's have some structure to this live stream. So I'm gonna go through my bets, last second bets that I like, because props also came out since the last time we talked. So the first bet that I like is Bryce Mitchell money line. He's minus 138. I got it at a little bit of a better number. I think I got it at like minus 125, but even at minus 138, I don't mind it. It's a little bit high, but it's not that bad, and I do think Bryce is going to win the fight. So that's the first one that I like. The other play that I like in terms of money line, as I said, is Ochoa. I like that one. I took a shot on Mark Andre. He's probably going to lose, but I took a shot. If he can cut off the cage and, as I said, force a guy who's kicking is the main basis of their striking, and Shara, cut off the cage, get inside that boxing range. Mark Andre does hit hard, so I took a shot, but he'll probably lose. And the last one, as I said, RDR. One other one that I like, though, parlay-wise, is Peter Yan parlayed up with Blackshear. All right, actually, this is pretty bad. Okay, I took this earlier on in the week, and the value was minus 130. Now at minus 172, this is actually pretty bad. I wouldn't take a two-leg parlay for minus 172. But earlier on in the week, it was minus 130. So that's why I took it. But I think I'm very confident both of those guys are going to win. For Damon Blackshear, he's very good on the feet. He's made significant improvements, and on the ground, he's always been amazing. He's always had amazing jiu-jitsu. So I think he has a good chance against Davey Grant, either honestly, regardless of where the fight goes, on the feet or on the ground. And then, well, especially on the ground. And then for Peter Yan, as I kind of touched upon before, I kind of think he's just going to outclass Marcus McGee. He's better in the striking. In close, he's better for sure, as he has a great ability to throw punches in combination, really land shots on a lot of his opponents. He's also pretty defensively sound in close. And even at range, Yan has done a great job at implementing kicks throughout his game. So I do think Yan's going to win. But outside of those couple plays, the other things that I like for the main event is I do like this play, actually. Where is it? RDR by finish at plus 165. I do like it because if RDR is going to win, he's going to win by finish. So maybe get a little bit of a premium on that one. And then the other play I like is this. This is, I guess, is a little bit of a shot in the dark, but I think there's a decent chance it hits. And will fight go the distance? No, at plus 200. You're getting pretty good plus money on that. And as I said, I think Yan is just so much better than McGee. And in the off chance that McGee does win, I don't think he will. But in the off chance that he does win, he's probably going to have to win by KO. So I guess you're kind of covered in both areas with plus 200. And the last one that I liked in this is I personally took Yan KO round 2 and 3. I just put a little bit on both of these. Obviously, with these at plus 1,700 and plus 2,500, you can put a certain amount on each one of these bets, and of course, you'll make money. So those are the additional plays that I like. But outside of that, I don't really see too much other value on this card. And yeah, I mean, you can force some things and try to find more value, but for me, that was it. That's all the value that I liked. Damon Blackshear looks like he's one of the he does actually with his hair. Yan by decision or TKO. Oh, that's a good one too, actually. You're kind of covered everywhere with Yan by decision or TKO. That's a good one. That's actually, what's the odds on that, actually? I guess it would depend on what the odds are. Let's see. Where's the double chance? There you go. Yeah, the only problem, Yan by TKO or points is minus 280. I personally wouldn't take that at that number. Actually, sorry, I didn't read that properly. It's a parlay. Yan by decision or TKO, Blackshear by sub or decision. That actually is probably pretty good. What's the value on that? I guess I can check it out. Yan by decision or KO, parlayed with what's the other leg? It is Blackshear by sub or decision. Blackshear. Okay. And the last one is over 2.5 rounds for Bryce. Plus 220. That's not bad. Yeah, I think all three of those things are three of those legs are pretty likely to hit, actually. That's a pretty good one. I'll throw this up on screen. Just if anyone wants to see it. This is a good play. I actually like this one. A little 3-leg parlay for plus 222. Not bad. Pretty good one, actually. Good call. Honestly, I'll probably take that play. But yeah, outside of that, that's really all the value that I see for this upcoming weekend. But a couple bets, obviously, but I'm just excited to watch the card. I think it's going to be a good one overall. Definitely some fights on this card that have meaning to them, which is fun to see back again. I really felt like for the Telson Teixeira card, alongside with UFC 318, there really wasn't any of those fights that had real meaning on the card. So for this week that we have the main event that has real meaning on it with RDR and Whitaker, even Peter Yan versus McGee has meaning to it. Ochoa versus Almabayev is a fight that has meaning to it. Even Bryce Mitchell versus Nurmagomedov is one. There's a bunch of fights on this card that have actual meaning. And when I say actual meaning, what I mean is they have meaning in terms of the rankings. For guys that are actually, will become or could become title contenders. Guskov, Great Valley, beginning. Yeah, that's true. The only thing about Guskov is in his last fight, I didn't love his performance. I know he got the finish, but I didn't love his performance against a guy who I didn't think was very good. But maybe I'm looking too much into that. Because when he fought Billy, I just thought Billy was like really not good. But maybe I'm just looking, as I said, a little bit too much into that. And with Krylov, I think Krylov is a good fighter. I just thought he had a really weird performance in his last fight where he was literally just charging, throwing a bunch of shots and leaving his chin essentially right up in the air against a counterpuncher in Dominic Reyes. So, yeah, I mean, you probably have a point. What's the value? He's like plus 200 or something. Let's see. If I can find it. Or he's plus 154. It's probably not bad. But I do think Krylov can probably look for takedowns in this fight and maybe find a submission if he wanted to fight smartly, but he honestly usually doesn't do that. So if he strikes it there, maybe he'll get caught again or something. If he strikes as recklessly as he did in his last fight against Dominic Reyes, then I think Guskov has a really good chance of winning. Yeah, I agree with that. I also just think Ochoa is just like, I guess is kind of tailing on your point, but I just think Ochoa is just a lot more dangerous, and that's pretty rare to see for 125. So I do agree with this. I personally think he'll win as well. Krylov was yeah, it was just like a weird game plan. It was almost as if he felt bad for Dominic Reyes after all those KO losses earlier on in his career. And he's like, all right, I'll help Dominic Reyes out. I'll give him a free TKO win or KO win. It's almost what it felt like. It was such a weird game plan. I just don't see any world that Krylov would fight like that and actually beat Dominic Reyes. Reyes doesn't have a good chin, and I guess if Krylov landed, he could have done something. But he was coming in from so far out. He was throwing these dumb punches that were coming up short and were so easily counterable for a guy whose main striking ability is his countering ability in Dominic Reyes. So I thought it was weird. Reyes versus Olberg, since neither one are booked. I actually said that the other day because there's so many guys at the light heavyweight division that are booked for fights, and it's kind of weird because I did Yuri versus Roundtree, which I think that's the right fight to make. I actually wanted to see that fight, and it happened, so that was cool to see. But after that was booked, Olberg kind of was left out. Like everybody around him has a fight booked already. So yeah, they could do Olberg versus Dominic Reyes. And honestly, I'm not too high personally on Olberg. So who knows? Maybe Dominic Reyes can get a victory. And if he does get a victory over Olberg, he would definitely get a title shot in his next fight after that, which is pretty crazy to say, actually, considering where he was right after losing to John Jones and taking all those KO losses back to back to back, or I don't know if it's back to back to back, but a bunch of losses, and definitely not a good streak for him. The Yuri loss, and then right after that, he got knocked out in MSG as well. So it is cool to see where Dominic Reyes is at this point. So I don't mind that fight. MB, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Jan got robbed against Olberg. I completely agree. That was ridiculous. I remember going into that fight. I guess it doesn't really matter, whatever. But going into that fight, I had a pretty significant bet on Jan. He was like a plus 200 or something crazy. I personally thought Jan was better than Olberg, so I put a big bet on him. And he won the fight. He definitely won the fight. Then they give it to Olberg, and it's the worst. Whenever there's a robbery, it's the worst. But especially if you bet on it and you get robbed, it's like, oh man, it's really the worst. But I do agree. Jan was doing, it was kind of a slow paced fight, but Jan was doing the more work for sure, and he landed the more damaging shots. I believe he landed a bunch of leg kicks in that fight, and Oldberg really didn't do much in that one. So I don't know. I guess I don't know. Um, I know a lot of people would watch that fight and just be like, "Oh, Dana wants another contender at the light heavyweight division," so they just gave the fight to Oldberg. I don't personally buy into that much. I think the judges are just like super inept. That's kind of how I see it, but I guess it could be wrong. But regardless, it certainly was a robbery. I thought it was a pretty bad one personally, but I guess there wasn't too much action in the fight. Reyes got him. There was too much pressure. Yeah. Yeah, I was watching back. I'm sure Oldberg at this point has made some adjustments and improvements, but I was watching Oldberg's fight against Njoku when he was alongside the cage and his hands were completely down by his waist and in close alongside the cage, the finishing sequence, and his chin was up in the air. It was just a really weird way to fight. You would think a guy who has as much experience, especially kickboxing experience, as Oldberg has, you would think he wouldn't do something like that, but he did in that fight. I know that fight was a little bit, it was kind of a while ago at this point, so we'll see the improvements that he made. But he definitely is at times open to getting hit, so we'll see what Dominic Reyes is able to do. I do honestly think it could be a good fight for Dominic Reyes, and as I said, if he's able to beat Oldberg, then he gets the title shot, right? He would have to. It would probably be, this is probably how it would go. I would assume it would probably be obviously Pereira versus Anker fighting next. Whoever wins that fight will probably fight the winner of Roundtree and Yuri. And then the winner of that fight will probably fight, assuming that this does happen, the winner of that fight would probably fight the winner of Reyes and Oldberg. I'm assuming that's how the rest of the lightweight division or light heavyweight division is going to play out. But we'll see. We'll see. I do agree with you, though. Stylistically, I think it's a good matchup. I was kind of suggesting earlier on that Dominic Reyes should go up against Jamal Hill. I also think he could beat Jamal Hill. I guess just the issue with Jamal is he is lower in the rankings a little bit, at least in comparison to Oldberg. So if Dominic did beat Jamal Hill, I think he would probably have to get one more win before getting a title shot. And also, Jamal does have really good power. But most importantly, honestly, Jamal is very durable. He's shown it in a lot of his fights. Yeah, he got finished by Pereira and he got finished by Yuri, but both of those guys hit ridiculously hard. And for the Yuri fight, Yuri landed a bunch of perfect counters on Jamal Hill, and it took him a while to actually put him away. So Jamal is ridiculously durable. And even in his last fight against Roundtree, he took a lot of big shots in that fight. Got dropped a few times, but never got finished. So the durability of Jamal Hill is significant, and I guess that would be something to think about for Dominic Reyes if they ever did put that fight together. But yeah, I do like your matchmaking. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always thought the light heavyweight division wasn't that great, and it's not. It's not that great. But at this point, I think there's a couple of guys that are at the very least exciting. Ankalaev, I think, is a solid fighter. Obviously, he's the champion. Pereira is another one of those guys. Yuri is good and exciting. Oldberg, I actually don't consider Oldberg to be, but he's got some wins, I guess. Roundtree, I do think he's pretty exciting. I know a lot of people weren't happy about Roundtree's last fight versus Jamal, but I personally thought it was a relatively exciting fight. He kind of just systematically picked apart Jamal Hill with the leg kicks, body kicks, and then when he saw openings, he landed big left hands that dropped Jamal a couple times in that fight. So I personally think Khalil is actually good, and he's very fun as well. Jan's a good fighter. The problem with Jan, this actually makes the Oldberg robbery even worse. The problem with Jan is he's literally like 42 or however old he is. I think he's 42. So, I don't think he's going to be able to get another title shot at this point. And if he did beat, but if the judges gave the decision to dude, what the fuck's going on? To Blachowicz, then I think there's a real chance he could have gotten a title shot, or at least very close to it. One of the next guys to get a title shot. So yeah, it is unfortunate, but I guess there's some better competition. It would be cool to see if we can get any young up and comers come up from that division that have legitimate title aspirations, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, what else we got for this card? I think we kind of covered everything for this upcoming one. Ibo Islam versus Billy Alcantara. I think it's going to be an easy finish for Ibo. I don't think Ibo's that good. I really don't. I think he just has a good chin and has good power. But I don't think his boxing is amazing, and I don't think he offers all that much outside of that. Of just, those explosive sort of confrontations, I guess. That's really where he has his success. But when you saw a guy in his last fight, Ian Kutilava, where he was able to find a takedown. Once he found that takedown, he found a submission. So I do think there's a lot of openings to Ebo, both on the feet and especially in terms of the grappling. But in this fight against Billy, I don't think Billy's all that good. I kind of talked about it before when Guskov fought him. I actually thought Guskov should have finished him earlier because I don't really think Billy's that good. But we'll see, I guess. I think they're going to do Zhang versus Yan. Yeah. Zhang is probably going to maul poor Johnny. It is unfortunate. They keep giving Johnny like big power punchers. It's like, dude, the guy has no chin, man. He's been knocked out so many times. Like, give the guy a break. But they keep giving him big power punchers, and I agree with you. I'm assuming Johnny's going to get knocked out by Zhang. If they do Zhang versus Yan, I don't know who's going to win that fight. I don't know, maybe Zhang would win it. The thing about Yan is like he's still a really good fighter. He has good power. His leg kicks are one of the best in the UFC. So he does do a lot of good things. And honestly, he's pretty defensively sound. His boxing is pretty good. It's just he's getting so old at this point. Even in his last fight versus Oldberg, I thought he won the fight, but at the same time, I thought he looked pretty slow. And not to say that he was ever super fast or anything like that, but I thought there was a noticeable difference for Jan. So now it's been however long since that fight, and however long since he's going to fight next. We could see an even more of a slowing down for Jan. But I'm still a Jan fan. I think he's a good fighter. Yeah. That would pay so nicely. Yeah, I agree with you though. Ebo doesn't really know what he's doing on the ground. So yeah, I guess I'm not too high on Billy. I think he's gonna get knocked out, but if he is able to find a takedown or get his back, I do agree with you. I think it could be wraps. I can't forget about him. That's a good fight as well. That's a good fight. Osmatos fitting name, whatever. It's the professional. That is actually a pretty fitting name. Yeah, he's really good. He definitely is a really good striker, really dangerous. It is kind of funny how athletic he is and how fast he is based on how he looks. It just kind of looks like some fat dude, but he is really athletic and really physical and really powerful. So we'll see. I actually kind of think I know in Azamat's last fight, he had a little bit trouble finding the finish, but eventually he found it. And I do think in this fight against Rakic at range, I think Rakic could do some good work. He does have a really, really good leg kick, and even body kicks and head kicks as well. But really, where Rakic is going to want to keep the fight is at range. But Azamat's going to want to blitz in a little bit and land some big power shots and land on Rakic. I don't know. It's an interesting fight, I guess. I think I kind of lean Azamat maybe, just because for Rakic, like he's a good fighter. I just feel like he has such a deficiency in terms of his inside boxing, but maybe I'm underrating him a little bit. Great takedowns and trips as well. Kind of like a lightweight and heavyweight. A light heavyweight Yan. Yeah, that is true. That is true too. Yeah, Jan is actually another one of those guys. His trip is so nice, where he puts his leg behind the guy and pushes them forward. When he did that to Sean O'Malley, he's done that to other guys as well. But when he did that to Sean O'Malley, Sean was trying to get him back and just wasn't able to. That trip is just so badass. Because honestly, whenever he successfully utilizes that trip, he honestly usually doesn't even like jump on top of his opponent and secure the takedown. Usually he just does it to make his opponent look bad, which is kind of badass to be honest. But yeah, and yeah, I guess Azamat does have that as well. When Peter Yan did it to Figueiredo, early on, Figueiredo was able to stop a couple of those takedowns, but I believe later on in that fight, when Yan was able to finally find it, he really like flung Figueiredo. Yeah, his trips are good. Yan is just like honestly a really, really complete fighter. He just does a really good job at I would say at striking and close at range. But as you said, and I think a lot of people forget just based upon how good his striking is, but his wrestling is also really good. It is really good. We saw it against Song Yadong when Jan's knee was torn up and he kind of had to wrestle in that fight. He was able to secure takedowns essentially on one leg, and when he was on the ground, he was able to hold position and yeah, and win the fight. And even when he went up against Marab, I know he lost a 50-45 to Marab, but it was kind of weird because he kind of lost the fight by stopping like 50 whatever takedowns. Like he stopped most of those takedowns. And when he did get taken down, he got right back up. The problem is when you're playing that game against Marab, you're losing the fight. At this point, Marab has done a better job, I'll say, at finding takedowns and holding guys down. And of course, in his last fight, Rashawn, he was able to find the finish finally. But honestly, mostly what Marab wants to do out there is just put you in that game of just getting taken down, getting back up, wasting energy. And as I said, once you get to that third round, like we saw against Umar and honestly against everybody, that's really when you start to gas out, and that's really where Marab starts to put more pressure on you, land more shots, maybe be able to take you down a little bit easier, hold you down a little bit easier. And yeah, so Marab is just a tough fight for everybody. And I'm personally really high on Jan, but against Marab, I don't know. I'm assuming they're going to do the rematch after Jan beats after Jan beats Marcus McGee. I'm assuming they're going to do the rematch. But I personally think the rematch is going to be a little bit closer probably than a 50-45 as it was the first time between Jan and Marab. But I just don't think Jan has the right style to beat Marab. Jan's really good. Obviously, he can stop takedowns, but we saw in his last fight, he's kind of just playing the game that Marab wants to play. And even on the feet, obviously, Jan is really good. But he kind of needs to put combinations together to land real damage on his opponents. And against Marab, he's not going to allow you to do that. We saw that in the first fight. And that's why when I was looking throughout the rankings, I know this might sound ridiculous, but I feel like a guy like Vinicius Oliveira kind of has a style to beat Marab just because he hits so hard and he has really good cardio. He doesn't have Marab cardio most likely, but he hits really hard. So if you can land one big shot on Marab, like he could knock him out. I know that probably sounds ridiculous at this point, but I do think Vinicius is going to slowly move his way throughout the rankings, and eventually, who knows, he can get a title shot. And if he does get a title shot, and if Marab is still the champion at that point, I don't know how long it would take Vinicius to get one if he ever does. But if that happens, Marab is also going to be, a decent amount older at that point, and is going to have a couple more fights on his belt at that point. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe a big shot will knock out Marab. But I always thought the only way you can beat Marab is you have to knock him out. And I just feel like a lot of these guys, like Corey or some other guys, just don't really have that ability with one punch at least. But yeah, we'll see. The bantamweight division has always been great, honestly, or at least as of late, it's been great. And I think there's a lot of legitimate contenders at that weight class. So we'll see how all these guys move throughout the rankings, and we'll see which contenders come up next. But next for Marab, obviously it's Corey. Then, as I said, it's probably going to be Jan, and then we'll see who's after that. But yeah, there's honestly like a lot of champions that I think are going to be champions for a little bit. Like for Pantoja, I think he has a chance. Actually, I think Van is a tough fight for him, but I think he would win. And then after that, I think he beats a lot of guys. At bantamweight, I think Marab is going to be a champ for quite a bit. Featherweight, I think Volk is probably not going to be a champ for a while, just because even if he fights Evloev and he beats Evloev, which I think he will, but after that fight happens, assuming he does, either I think he's going to retire or he'll fight Gene Silva, and I think Gene Silva is going to beat Volk, unfortunately. For Topuria, I guess he's not going to be a champ for a while because Topuria is probably going to defend once against Armin, Gaethje, or Patty, and then probably move up to welterweight. At welterweight, JDM, I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. JDM's really good, but Islam is kind of a tough fight, but we'll see. Dricus, I think if Dricus beats Hamzat, he's going to be a champion for a really long time. If he beats Hamzat, I should say. If he beats Hamzat, then I really think he beats everybody. Imavov, I think, is a relatively easy fight, or I don't know, relatively easy. Imavov is a good fighter, but I think there's a real path to victory for Dricus against Imavov. Against Strickland, obviously, he already beat him a couple times. Against Adesanya, he already beat him. Whitaker already beat him. Bahalio, I think Whitaker beats Bahalio. Cannonier, I definitely think Dricus beats him. Delice, I definitely think he beats him. Fluffy Hernandez, I actually think Dricus kills Fluffy. I think that's a really, really bad fight for Fluffy. And then Brennan Allen, Dricus will beat. Vittori, Dricus will beat. Polo, Dricus would beat. RDR. RDR is actually the one interesting one. RDR versus DDP. That's an interesting fight. But I think I lean Dricus, but that's an interesting one. Abus definitely loses to Dricus. Imagine Abus Nurmagomedov versus Dricus. Abus will have 1 round of cardio, and he definitely won't be able to finish Dricus. And then once they get to the second round, it'll probably be over. And Kopylov would lose to Dricus. Yeah, there's just not too many guys that I think could actually beat Dricus outside of Hamza. But we'll see how that one goes. What's going on, brother? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you? How are you? But yeah, definitely some good things though. What do you think is going to be the fight of the night for this? For tomorrow. I personally think it's going to be the main event probably, or maybe Amabaya versus Ochoa. That has a chance to be the fight of the night. That's probably going to be a fun one. It's either that or the main event. I really think the main event is going to be Whitaker winning the majority of the fight, then getting caught on the feet or getting caught in a takedown and him getting finished. I really feel like that's how the fight's going to go. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Salikov versus Carlos Leal. That could be it. Maybe there'll be a lot of action in that one. But we'll see. We will see. Man. But yeah, we definitely will be streaming the card tomorrow. So everybody who's joining in late, I will be doing a little bit of a watch along tomorrow for UFC Abu Dhabi. We'll start at 12 and we'll go throughout the card. We'll be streaming for like 6.5 hours or however long the card is. So that'll be fun. We did it last week and we've done it in the past. We did it for the Roundtree and Jamal Hill card. And it was really fun. Doing the watch along and watching the bets that I give out on these live streams, watching them play out live and seeing if we hit or if we didn't hit, and just talking about the fights live and afterwards and whatever. So it'll be fun. So be sure to join if you guys are interested in that card. I like Yammer's getting to the third round. Yeah. I agree. I think it's going to be good. Obviously, Jan in his career has had trouble with getting started early, which isn't a problem because usually he's in 5-round fights. But sometimes when he's in 3-round fights is a concern. But as of late, since the Figueiredo fight, or maybe even the fight before the Figueiredo fight, Jan has been doing a much better job at just getting started right away. And I do think we're going to see that in this fight versus McGee. As I said, it's just also such a big advantage, in my opinion, for Jan. So I think he's going to honestly outwork or outskill McGee really regardless of where the fight goes. But we'll see. Outside of the unlikely bonk for McGee, I really think Jan wins. And McGee does hit hard, yes, but even a bonk I don't think is super likely for him. Just because even if he does land clean on Jan, which I think is unlikely, but let's just say he does, Jan also has shown to have a pretty good chin. He's taken a clean shot from Sean O'Malley. He got dropped and hurt, but not that bad. And he's taken some shots throughout his career as well. So I'm pretty confident. Live bet Jan after he loses round 1. Yeah. The thing is, though, I agree with you. We'll see what the odds are at that point. And if it's anywhere near good value, even if he's like minus 180, minus 170, I think I probably would take it, honestly. I'm like that confident that he would win. But the one thing that I will say about that, though, is the betting market's wised up to similar stuff like that a little bit, because like for Peter Yan, most guys know Jan's most likely going to lose the first round in a lot of his fights. But if he does lose the first round, it doesn't matter because he's so good, and he usually starts to build as the fight progresses. So they might know that, and because of that, like the value won't change. Like an example of this was last week or whatever week this was when Vinicius Oliveira fought Kyler Phillips. Round one he lost. Obviously, he lost round one, but if you looked at the live number, his value actually went up because he didn't get finished in the first round, and the betting markets knew if Vinicius didn't get finished round one, he'll probably win, as his pace and pressure were really good, and Kyler Phillips usually tends to gas out, and Vinicius hits really hard, and his cardio is great. So at times when even if guys lose the first round, but they're known for for building late, sometimes the betting markets don't change the value that much. So we'll see. We'll see what happens and what they decide to do. But yeah. What else? What else? But I'm definitely excited for Jan. I lay a bet on D-Rod after 2 since I thought he was up 200. And then again, I did 31. Wow, good bets. Good bets. I definitely thought D-Rod won the fight. But yeah, I agree with you. He definitely won the first 2 rounds, in my opinion. In the third round, he almost got finished. It was just such a weird performance for me from Kevin Holland. I really was very confident that Kevin Holland would win. I was definitely wrong about it, but yeah, that's a really good live bet after the second round, especially considering he was the underdog still. After I agree with you. I thought he was up 2 rounds, and I was shitting myself when he almost collapsed. Yeah, I was surprised that Holland couldn't find the finish. Honestly, I thought that almost finishing sequence was going to happen in the first round or within the first 2 rounds for Kevin Holland. I was really surprised because D-Rod's a guy that's not that physical in my mind. And he's also a guy who's like pretty hittable, and his chin is it's not bad, but it's not like insane. And Kevin Holland hits really hard. So I thought eventually within the first 2 rounds, Kevin Holland would be able to find one of those straight shots that he normally throws. Because as I said, D-Rod doesn't really move his head. His head's usually on center line. So I thought a jab right straight would land for Holland. And I thought he would just find a finish early, but he wasn't able to do it. He almost got dropped. Well, he did get dropped, but he almost got finished in the first round, which I was super surprised about. Honestly, after that fight, I felt like I didn't know what I was watching because my prediction was just so ridiculously off, and I was like very confident in it too. It was just such a weird performance from Holland. But I saw someone talk about it on one of my comments on one of my videos. Kevin Holland is just, and I agree with this, he's probably the most inconsistent fighter in the UFC. Like one fight he'll look like, oh, he's actually pretty good. He has good power. He has a really good chin. He has good length. His striking is not amazing, but he's effective at times with it for the ridiculous tools that he has, power and length, and a great chin. And then another fight, he'll fight like he fought D-Rod, will just look like he doesn't know what he's doing. So it was weird. It was really weird. Holland guess that's so bad. Yeah, that was weird. I was honestly surprised Holland wasn't able to find the finish, but really good job by D-Rod just surviving in that third round. Really impressive. That was a huge shot that Holland was able to land. And I kind of thought it was weird that fight didn't get fight of the night. That was a really good one. The fight of the night was the Vettori fight, which also was a really good fight. But I thought the main event and also the Holland D-Rod fight might even have been better. I don't know. But all 3 of those fights were good. So the card we had for UFC 318, I thought was a good one overall. A lot of really fun fights. Also, one thing that I was talking about after the card happened that I thought was kind of weird is for the main card of 318, there was no finishes, all decisions. But in every single one of those fights, one or multiple guys got dropped. In the MJ fight versus Zellhuber got dropped once, or maybe it was even twice. Pitbull was able to drop Ige once. Holland was able to drop D-Rod, and then D-Rod was able to drop Kevin Holland. Costa was able to drop Kopylov a couple times, and Holloway was able to drop Holloway was able to drop Poirier once, and he almost finished him again, and then Poirier dropped Max. It's kind of weird. The amount of damage landed on all these guys and not one finish on the main card, I thought that was pretty weird. But yeah, definitely is way more relation, that's for sure. Yeah. MJ versus BSD. Let's try pure. That would be so fun. I think BSD probably just takes down MJ and submits him or lands ground and pound shots, but MJ is really fast, and if he can stop takedowns, who knows what he can do. On the feet, he does have a big advantage, and BSD he's really dangerous. He hits really hard, and he's super physical. I think we've seen that a lot on the ground, how physical BSD truly is. But on the feet, like he's not that fast, and he doesn't have too many weapons. It's really just kicks and pressure and landing big shots alongside the cage, but he's not super technical, obviously. So yeah, that could be a good one. But I assume BSD will just look for a takedown, get it, and then submit or ground and pound MJ to death and find a finish. But as I said, if it stays on the feet, that'll be a really, really fun fight. a lot of violence in that fight for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. MJ is honestly like such a weird one because MJ has like a really bad record. What is he like 24-19 or something like that? It's like a really bad record. But when you look at some of the guys who's able to beat and even just the way he fights, I don't know. Like he seems like he's pretty good. His striking is pretty good. He's so fast. He's 38 or 39, however old he is. He's just so fast. It's just so weird. Like for me to see him lose against some of the caliber of fighters that he goes up against, and then he beats some of the good guys. So I don't know. BSC so strange man. I agree. Definitely a submission over position. I actually completely agree with that as well. Yeah, he's just kind of fighting at 100 miles an hour out there. I thought in the Poirier fight, I know he had staff going into the fight. That's kind of why he was trying to find a finish early. But I really think he could have beat Poirier. I mean, in the first round, he was kind of dominating him, to be honest. He was pressuring him very nicely. He found a lot of takedowns. He almost got a couple submissions. And, you know, every time that Poirier, I mean, let's be honest, it was kind of silly, but every time he went for a guillotine, BSD was just able to reverse him, get on top, and you know, kind of dominate from there. So I do think he's a really good fighter, as you said. He is ridiculously strong and really physical. I guess he just takes too many risks and he fights a little bit too fast at times. And we saw it in the Poirier fight. He gassed out. I know he had staff, so that's probably a part of it. But also he fought at such a high pace that most guys would gas out in that situation. And we've seen, you know, similar things in other fights where he's just going all out. But I guess outside of the Poirier fight, he's honestly done a pretty good job of getting finishes early. But yeah, I'm still kind of high on BSD. I go back and forth, but I'm still kind of high on BSD. I personally see guys who are like that physical. His physicality is like another level. Or that physical, I personally think those guys are going to be pretty good. But yeah, maybe a couple of tweaks to the way he fights out there, and he can be a really, really good fighter. But we'll see. I know he got a win in his last fight, but you know, he fought not so great opponent. MB says BSD versus Alvarez. Yeah, that was a fight they were supposed to do initially, but it fell through. Oh man, 1 second, boys. But anyways, yeah. So I know they were supposed to do BSD and Alvarez initially, but I heard some rumors, and then obviously Alvarez had to pull out. But I heard some rumors that that Alvarez might be moving up weight class. I don't know if that's official or not, but I know Alvarez, I think, had some trouble making weight a couple times, and I think Dana suggested it that he should just move up. So I don't know if that's official or not, but yeah. John Jones is outside my window. Freaking A. I would not want that. I don't want John watching me sleep or whatever. I don't know. But yeah. Freaking A. Freaking Johnny. Unbelievable. Damn. You think John's gonna fight? Probably not, right? Probably not. That's actually weird. I'm just looking at the rankings. They have Joel Alvarez as a new ranking. He just got ranked after not fighting, which is weird. He's number 15 at the lightweight division. But as I just said, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to move up to 170. So that's kind of weird. I always thought it's kind of weird when guys move up and they're still ranked in that division. Like Max Holloway was ranked at featherweight for a while after moving up to 155, and Islam's still ranked at lightweight, even though he's moving up. But yeah. John's under your bed. I hope not. That would not be great. Freaking John. Freaking John. What are you going to do with Johnny boy? Such a weird case for John. Rankings don't make sense. Yeah. Yeah, the rankings are off, in my opinion. And also, yeah, some of them just literally make no sense. Yeah.
I can't quit staring at Connor's dick. I can't stop.
Did it go through?
I can't quit staring at Connor's
I was trying to figure out how to get this soundboard hooked up. So we got our little donation tone now for Chael. Chael's bit with that Connor thing is so funny. I'm gonna add more funny sounds to the soundboard, but that bit is so funny. And then when that kid asked Chael when he was on stage, or he was about to do his press conference, or not press conference, his post show or whatever it was, and then Chael just goes into it, just so funny to me. But it's at this point, I know that maybe it's a little bit old at this point, but at this point, I kind of think that's like the best bit in MMA. It's just so funny. But yeah, lifting weights, yeah. Oh man, that's like never gonna get old to me. It's just so funny. But yeah. But anyways, I think I have to cut this stream. Yeah. Oh man. I think I got to cut the stream off short, though. I apologize, boys. I wasn't able to hop on for a long stream. We will stream tomorrow, though. We'll do a very long stream tomorrow, probably the 6-hour stream, however long the fight card is. But yeah, I think I'm gonna hop off at this point. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream today. Just wanted to say hello and talk about some fights before we get to the card tomorrow. But yeah, so stream tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time for the card. We'll do a watch along, so be sure to be there. And we'll also be doing some streams on Sunday as well to do a little bit of a recap. John's inside you. Oh man. But yeah. Anyways, boys, I'll see you boys tomorrow. Peace out. Have a great rest of your night, and I'll leave you with this.
Can't quit staring at Connor's dick. I can't stop.
Peace out, boys.